So do we have sound? Yes, we do. So thank you all for being here today. We're going to talk about technology in the fashion industry. And if there are any one of you guys further back listening, please move forward because we're going to use this screen also. I want you to use your uh, mobile phone. So what we're going to talk about today is 3D and AR and how it will impact the fashion industry. And specifically, I'm going to focus very much on shoe industry, but it's also applicable for bags. And my name is Patrik, and I'm from a company called Fibbl. And we are all about helping making smarter buying decisions. And hopefully, when I'm done with this presentation, you have a good feel and understanding what we mean by smarter buying decisions. So, for you who have experience working with 3D in the fashion industry, I want to make it crystal clear that the process of innovating and designing products using digital solution and using 3D, that is not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the part when you actually have a physical product and how you can use that 3D model and do stuff interacting with customers and creating a better user experience. The value and the value we think we can create, the areas we can create value in, and that I'm going to focus on today is B2B sales, e-commerce, and marketing. So we have an agenda. I'm going to go through 4 different steps. So start with the problem. So the problem statement I like to put in front of you is the fact that we are all faced with a massive problem of fashion waste. I've been told it's the equivalent of like a dumpster truck of fashion waste every minute that's either been burned or used as landfill. And I think we all agree this is not acceptable. But it also costs an enormous amount of money. So the question I think we need to ask ourselves, why is this? And the reason can partly be blamed on the high level of returns. And if you think about it, in a physical store, the return rate tends to be approximately like 1%. But in e-commerce, it's if you're happy, it's 10 times higher. Normally, it's way higher. So why is that so? To answer that question, let us take a closer look at e-commerce and the evolution of e-commerce. So if we jump back in time, let's say 30 years or something, let's say 1995, and you went into an e-commerce store, uh, what did you see? The product that you were interested in was probably represented by an image, and there was some text, right? So let's fast forward till today. What do you see when you go into an e-commerce? You see an image and you see some text. Well, there's some videos also. And yes, it's more lifestyle images, but fundamentally it's the same as it always been. So this is interesting because during the same time period, the big consumer facing technology platforms has evolved tremendously, and there's an enormous amount of money that actually been spent on creating a better user experience online. And part of that includes 3D. And I'm not sure if you are aware, but Google Shopping is offering 3D services in the US. They're testing it right now in UK and it's coming to Europe. Same thing is happening with Amazon. So this is becoming a prerequisite when you meet your customers online, independently if it's B2B or if it's consumer e-commerce. So what is then required to actually make this happen? You need to have a really, really good 3D model. The 3D model needs to have a very high quality. And then the way we check this out in our office is that we put the actual physical shoe on the table, and then we compare it to the 3D model online. And the point being is that you could be fooled. It should be so good you can't see it's actually a 3D model. So let's play around with this. Could you please take up your smartphones? Come on, get your smartphones up. And then take a photo of the QR code. I'm going to do the same. So where I just took you to is it's an online shop. So here now you can actually manipulate the shoe, and you can also, if you want to, you see there's a function underneath. It says try on, so you can actually try on the shoe. So I'm going to do that. So what happens when you do that? It asks you permission to use the camera, and I propose that you stand up when you do this because it becomes a better experience, and then you actually can experience the product on your foot virtually. Okay, so let's talk a bit about use cases. How could this be used? So the fundamental idea here is that we want to mimic what goes on in a physical store, if we think about this from an e-commerce perspective. So what we're doing is basically in a physical store, you walk up, you see all the products, you pick one product, you probably try it before you buy it. So take a look on how this could play out online. So you have the product listing pages, you have a lot of products you have to choose for. You decide to pick one product. You then inspect this product a bit carefully. You perhaps want to check out the sole or some specific part. Perhaps you want to make it into the full screen so you get a really, really good feeling for it. So that's one thing you can do. But then you can also, this is another brand, another experience. You can also try the shoe, try it, try it on your foot. So that is what we mean when we mimic the online, the in-store customer experience. So it's really all about the customer experience. And I think there is a huge opportunity here where we can improve it using this technology. So what I showed you now is the 360 viewer with an opportunity to actually get much closer to the product. I showed you the virtual try on, and I also explained to you the quality of the 3D models at hand. But that's not all. You can also use the 3D model to render the product images you have on your web or the product videos. So it replaces a traditional photo session, which will help you save a lot of money and save time. Great. So now we talked about this from the perspective on the e-commerce and B2B opportunity to introduce online your products in a more intuitive way. But let's talk a bit about marketing. So the 3D model also represents an opportunity for you to be much more effective in terms of how you do marketing. So you can use this type of technology and you can embed it pretty much wherever you want on the website. But you can also use this technology as part of in-store promotions. And why stop there? What happens when the store is closed? Well, you can put QR codes in the shopping window, and your customer can still interact with your products or even try them and then buy them. These are just examples. Another example that I touched on was around advertising, these new formats, advertising formats that are coming. And this will, I think, really drive the whole evolution of this. Um, Another example where we see our customers using this is in email marketing. I'm sure you receive emails and it always 20% off. That's the only message you get, 20% off. It's not about highlighting your products and features and get people to really interact with the product, which is absolutely an opportunity. Um, I love this, when you have the abandoned chart, when you have put it in the cart, but you didn't go through the checkout, you always get the text message or an email reminding you. But you could also ask, are you not sure? Why don't you try the product on? So it's a different level of interacting with your customer from a marketing perspective. So that was more traditional marketing. But what you're also going to see is what I call CGI, computer generated images. So what we see our customers are doing is that they are doing stuff in terms of advertising and commercials that are like their brand looks like $1 million brand. It's just crazy good. And I love the way Loki did this when they launched Nicki Minaj shoes. Super creative, did all kind of really cool stuff, and doing great marketing. And I love the CEO of this company. He really wanted his shoes to be lifted out of Wembley Stadium. So these are just examples of what you can do. It's really your own creativity that sets the limit. Okay, let's say you want to try this. I mean, this is pretty good, cool stuff. So why are not everyone doing this? So the reality is that 3D is pretty goddamn tricky. And the the the, the probably the trickiest part is to create the actual 3D model and have a really high quality, yet a light that works on a mobile phone and still affordable. So that's really hard. Most 3D models today are created by 3D artists. Some of them are super, super good, but it's hard to maintain a level set of the quality. And also, you have the problem even if you have the 3D model, how are you going to like where are you going to place them? How are you going to integrate it into your e-commerce and all that? And finally, you need to distribute the experience and it needs to work on all devices, because if it doesn't work on all devices, it doesn't really create value. So to solve this, we have created a concept that we call 3D first. And 3D first is today only available for shoes and bags, but our intention is to bring it to other product categories. And fundamental for the concept of 3D first is that you need to have a 3D representation of your product to be able to create a good end user experience. It's a prerequisite. And to make that happen, what we have created is what we call a 3D AR enablement platform. And this platform is doing the following. First, it produces the 3D model of your product in an affordable and scalable way. So we can do 10,000 or 20,000 3D models of shoes per month today. Secondly, it needs to be easily integrated into your e-commerce. Also, make sure I'm on the right point here. The platform needs to support all the different type of 3D and AR experiences. And you shouldn't have to use a photographer for pack shots and standard product videos. And it also should have built-in analytics. And that's really, really important, because the way we see this is that the business model is a subscription business model. So you need to measure the value the platform creates. So you make sure that you offset the cost, as in most subscription solutions. So with that said, what business value can then 3D and AR actually deliver? I'm going to go through a few customer examples here. and share with you. We have a nice wall of logos. We have today like 50, 60 customers, and the customers I'm going to talk about are customers that we've been working with more than a year. So the first one is SAC footwear. Um, Everybody knows, I already mentioned it, the problem with returns. So SAC footwear, the way they measure returns is that when you return the shoe, you have three categories. You could say either the shoe didn't fit, or you can say, I simply didn't think the shoe the actual physical shoe was well represented by how you sold it or with the images you had. I felt I got something else. And finally, the last category you had is the shoe was too heavy. So what they told us after using our service for full year was that the part that is this shoe was not what I expected it to be, completely disappeared. And that was the equivalent of 30% of the returns. And you can imagine that cost just disappeared. That ended up on bottom line. So that becomes profit. So for them, this was huge. So that was the first example. The second example I would like to take is it's a Dutch footwear brand called Nubic. And this was actually an interesting story because they didn't want to use the virtual try-on feature. They just wanted to do the 360 viewer. Uh, Fortunate for us, they were willing to do experiments. So we decided to do an experiment with the virtual try-on. And what they found out was that people using the virtual try-on were close to almost 50% more likely, actually more than 50% more likely to buy than the ones that didn't. Uh, and the same company uses a lot of email with communicating with the customers. So the percentage numbers are not that spectacular as before, but still a few percent increase in conversion is money. And in their case, they were emailing their customer twice a week. They were working quite aggressively with this. This was a really important source for their marketing. So it actually ended up giving a really good business result. The next customer I want to mention is Gant. Uh, they decided the shoes that they are bringing to market it's a licensed product, and they used to use the producer's images, but they wanted to have the same look and feel as for all their other products. So they decided to take this in-house. So they looked at different ways of doing this, and they already have 4 or 5 photo studios. They take a lot of photos. They're super professional when it comes to this. And they ended up telling us that we were able to deliver this to them twice as fast, half the price. So I think that's a good example of how 3D can actually drive operational efficiency. Uh, And then the last example that I wanted to share with you is a, a big Baltic retailer, Sportland. And I think I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure I've never heard of anyone having more than 1,000 products, running a test using 3D models, augmented reality with more than 1,000 products over such a long period of time as they did. And the result, their data told them that they got a whopping plus 100% increase in conversion. And it also significantly impacted the return rate. So really, the bottom line here is that today, interacting with end users from an e-commerce perspective, but also when you have B2B market platforms, when you sell into resellers and wholesale, the product experience isn't that good. There's a massive opportunity to improve that, and you can save money rather than sending goods back and forth. I'm not saying you're going to completely stop with samples, but I think you could consider trying this and see what your customer thinks about it. So, and from an e-commerce perspective, we have a lot of metrics that really supports the business case, why this is a fantastic idea, why you really should try this. Um, so I think actually there's a need of a sense of urgency because either we're just gonna let the big tech companies come in and take over and dominate here, or we try to take control of the situation ourselves. Um, I can just share that in January this year, we had approximately 100,000 end user interaction using our technology. And in July, I haven't seen August numbers yet, but in July, we passed 1.2 million. So we really see serious pickup and usage of this technology. And really, if you're interested in this, you should contact us and talk about the opportunity. We offer what we call a free trial. So you can, if you are a shoe brand or you do bags, there's an opportunity to actually try this for free. So that was pretty much everything I'm going to share with you today. So any questions? Thank you very much.